We've all heard warnings about 1929, the stock market crash that triggered the Great Depression, the collapse that wiped out fortunes overnight, the moment when ordinary people who thought they were getting rich suddenly discovered they were ruined. Most people think 1929 was a single event, a Black Tuesday when everything fell apart. But that's not how crashes work. They don't come out of nowhere. They come after years of warning signs that nobody wants to see. And right now, in 2025, we're seeing all the same signs again. The same delusions, the same patterns, the same complacency. It's starting again, and if you're paying attention to history instead of cable news, you'll recognize exactly where we are. In 1929, the stock market was dominated by speculation. Regular people were borrowing heavily to buy stocks they didn't understand, getting tips from taxi drivers about which stocks would make them rich. The brokers encouraged it. Everyone believed the market could only go up because it had been going up for years. Radio stocks, the hottest investment because radio was the future, traded at valuations that had nothing to do with actual earnings. Sound familiar? Today, it's artificial intelligence. 8 of the 10 largest stocks by market capitalization are tied directly to the AI boom. A Bank of America survey found that 54% of global fund managers thought tech stocks were overpriced, yet the momentum kept going. The delusion isn't that AI is revolutionary, it is. The delusion is that current stock prices reflect any kind of realistic future earnings. They don't. But the AI bubble is only part of the picture. The real parallelism to 1929 lies deeper in the structure of the entire market and the way ordinary people are positioned within it. Right now, Americans are using margin debt at near record levels. Margin is borrowed money used to buy stocks, and when it's used at scale and the market turns against you, it forces selling that crashes prices even further. In the 1920s, margin was how ordinary people played the market. They borrowed through their brokers and bought stocks they couldn't afford. It worked great in a rising market. In a falling market, it was a death trap. Today, the same mechanism is active, the same leverage is built in, and the same consequences will follow when confidence breaks. The Federal Reserve's data on margin debt shows we've learned nothing. We're repeating the past because we don't understand the past. There are warning signs everywhere that aren't about history at all. They're about right now. Hiring has fallen to just 52,000 jobs per month, a recession warning signal. Surveys show 71% of Americans believe inflation will worsen. Credit card debt hit a record $1.2 trillion with serious delinquencies, more than double early 2022 levels. Banks are tightening lending standards at the highest rate in 4 years. The economy is fragile. Everyone in finance knows it, but the public is still being sold endless growth. Then there's the tariff situation, which is genuinely alarming. Trump's tariffs in 2025 brought trade protections to their highest levels since Smoot-Hawley, the disastrous tariff policy Congress imposed 8 months after the 1929 crash. That tariff deepened the depression and triggered retaliation that crippled international trade. We're repeating that pattern now. The Yale Budget Lab calculated that these tariffs cost the average household $2,400 in 2025 and reduced GDP by 0.5 percentage point. But the real damage isn't just the tariffs themselves, it's the uncertainty. Nobody knows what Trump will tariff next, when or how much. That uncertainty is freezing business investment, and hiring companies are postponing decisions because they can't plan for costs they can't predict. Trade policy uncertainty hit record highs in 2025. The uncertainty multiplier effect does more damage than the tariffs themselves because fear changes behavior faster than any direct economic force. There's also shadow banking, the largely unregulated private credit markets that have exploded in recent years. These markets operate outside traditional regulatory oversight, which means nobody really knows what risks are building up in there. When subprime auto lenders like Tricolor Holdings started collapsing in 2024, JP Morgan's CEO Jamie Dimon made an observation that should terrify you. When you see one cockroach, there are probably more. The fragility in the financial system is hidden. The shadow banking sector could hide losses and leverage that we won't see until it's too late. It's exactly the kind of hidden risk that preceded 1929. The regulatory environment is also deteriorating. SEC rules are becoming less stringent. Consumer protection oversight has effectively evaporated. We're systematically removing the guardrails that were put in place after previous crashes. In the 1920s, there were almost no rules at all. We're moving back toward that environment. History doesn't repeat, but we're definitely making it rhyme. The most unsettling part is the psychological element. In 1929, people couldn't imagine the market would crash because it had been rising for so long. Meme coins now gain millions in value overnight based on nothing but hype. I made a joke about creating a coin, and within hours it was worth $170 million in trading before collapsing to nothing. That's collective delusion dressed up as capitalism. Ordinary people are convinced this time is different, that they'll get rich, that the music won't stop. But it always does. The similarities between now and 1929 are too stark to ignore. Speculative excess, leverage at record levels, warnings from serious economists about valuation, hidden risks in shadow banking, policy uncertainty, weakening labour markets, deteriorating consumer confidence. Every indicator that preceded the crash in 1929 is flashing red right now. This doesn't mean the crash comes tomorrow. Booms can last longer than anyone expects. But when it comes, it will be brutal for anyone who wasn't prepared. Anyone who believed the promises, anyone who thought this time was different. The lesson from 1929 is that the signs are always there before the crash. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. History doesn't just rhyme, it warns. The next verse has already begun.